And with that, we can officially welcome you to tonight. It's Friday Night Racing here at the track this beautiful Friday night on July the 26th. Our first group coming up to the rail will start with the Cat 3 and women's combined field. If you were privy to a program or were checking out the schedule on the stream just before we started popping in here to our first race, you would have seen that we had 3 fields tonight. Well, we have combined one of them. Slightly low on the numbers for one of our groups tonight. So we'll keep the racing more interesting by putting them in together. That'll be our Cat 3 men and all of our women competitors coming to the line for this interesting OneKnown Distance. As riders go around in the neutral lap and get this thing started, I'll let everybody know how the OneKnown works. Again, our first group coming up here for their OneKnown Distance ride, the Cat 3 men and women's field. On deck will be Cat 1-2 riders for their OneKnown Distance. After that, we'll have a junior camp graduation. All right, and the riders are off for neutral. Lap cards are going to be going up on this race. This isn't a variant on the unknown distance, which is a race that we actually do fairly commonly around here. Unknown distance is just like it sounds. Nobody gets to know how long the race is except for basically whoever's ringing the bell. In this one, we've given the riders all a chance to write down a number of laps before the race begins that they would like to go. So they can put down whatever number they want. Then at 2 laps completed, the field will sprint for essentially a Preme lap. Whoever wins that lap, that number is how long the race will be. So that information is only privy to the rider that, of course, wins it, unless they want to share that information with anybody. They certainly could. But until someone wins on that second lap, we don't know how long this race is. Nobody knows how long this race is going to be. Once that rider crosses, then our officials team and, of course, our bell ringer is going to know, as well as that one rider, therefore the name, the OneKnown. So these first 2 laps are just setting up for a Preme. So it's likely to be pretty quick at the beginning, I'd imagine, as our riders are going to start getting set for the action on the first sprint here. Again, that's basically the right for the information. If you win that sprint, you get to know exactly how long our race is going to be tonight. And if you don't, then you are just riding an unknown distance, just like you would pretty much any other day. How sadistic would it be if somebody wrote down some incredibly high lap count and tried to go for it? Someone who has some serious enduro this evening. So next time they come through, they're going to be getting a bell indicating to them that they are sprinting for the right to know the distance of the race. So we'll see who's going to come to the front here and start to look for that opportunity. A little bit of hesitation here as they come out of the corner. It's Bryn Ward at the front, looking around, waiting to see who might be trying something out here. Who's going to set the distance here? Again, I don't get to know that either, so I'm kind of in the same seat as you guys are when it comes to understanding what's inside of the race now. Whoever comes across the line will be the only one in the know of how long the race is going to run for. Looks like nobody's too anxious to go for it as they're more worried about the big finish. Somebody's going to cross that line at first and know the race. Maybe Carl Pratis. A little bit of a move from the center here. I'm guessing that's Brett Seahorn for the Dyna Racing team. So Dyna Racing will set the length. Our bell ringer has been notified. Brett Seahorn is the man in the know on this one. So now at this point, It's a combination of kind of a gambling game. Do you just go on it on a certain lap, or do you just wait for the one to go? I mean, it's a 400-meter effort at the time the bell's ringing, so that's not that close to the finish as the bell rings. So a lot of riders are just going to wait. As they're trying to wait and kind of hold things off for a little bit, it looks like Apex Racing in the blue is going to kick things up here after 4 laps completed, thinking that now's as good a time to go. This is a pretty good-sized field. You're going to want to put some pressure on them earlier rather than too late here. So on the backstretch, it's Apex Racing leading us through the turns, getting us up to speed quickly. So Will Harrison, the Apex team, rider 321, brings with him a nice group of riders that are deciding to sit up a little higher. So it doesn't look like they're going to do the work to try to shed off the rest of these riders that are right behind them, now coming back together to a main group. Uncertain how much longer we're going to be waiting for this one to be done. The only rider who knows is actually off the pace right now. So this main field of contenders has no idea what they're doing in terms of the amount of time remaining. So the question that you could ask yourself is what are these riders going to do tactically here? One of the things to start thinking about as those laps keep going up and up is there's that feeling that the race is going to be more likely to be over the next lap. So at any time, you could try to launch one of these attacks like we're seeing now and hope that you come into a bell, or at least within a lap or two you're going to get it, and maybe catch the group sleeping behind you. At 7 laps completed, no bell yet. So Harrison's trying this again. You can see that nice gap he's opened up on the rest of the field, hoping that the bell's coming here any second. Oh, and there's the bell. Will's in a good spot, but he's got a lot of work to do. He's got the pack coming down pretty fast here, including the leader's jersey of Ben Rackness, who wants to try to get up there. That's that neon kit in the middle of the field, and you can see the gap starting to close down a little bit. Will's in the right place at the right time. He just has to do a little bit more work here to finish this race. Still Will Harrison at the front. Leader's jersey is chasing awfully fast. Coming out of the turn, our junior in the leader's jersey trying to catch. Looks like he's on the path to do it. Rackness will take it. And actually one of Will's teammates will come flying in for Apex Racing in second place. I think Will's still holding on for third. A nice gamble take there, and it ends up paying off pretty well. But the leader's jersey with enough strength coming through turns 3 and 4 to basically do the 300-meter effort needed. Our riders are exiting on the back straight, and we've already signaled for our next field to come on up. Cat 1-2s, please, to the rail. Cat 1-2 competitors to the rail for your OneKnown Distance. Coming up next, our junior camp graduation race, the Italian Pursuit, coming up here soon.
Crap over and over again.
All right, back to it. This is a neutral. Once again, 2 on the lap cards is when we will hear a bell to win the Preme. In this case, the Preme is the knowledge of the length of the race. A powerful tool in the right hands. Our next race will be our junior camp graduation, so juniors that are involved with that, we're excited to have you coming out here in just a moment. I expect to see somebody in this field thinking a little bit more tactically about how they can utilize the information about the length of the race. We'll see. There's obviously, the funny thing about this one is, let's say you do go for it, you get the distance determined, everybody's going to be watching you from there on out. That's the thing that hasn't really been talked about, is that you're basically putting a big target on your back saying, hey, 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 I know the length of the race. Just watch for my body language and I'll tell you when it's going to be over. You can use that to your advantage, though. I'd imagine if you're out there, you could do some pretty interesting things off the front in terms of kind of creating chaos. Every time you go, everybody's going to be watching you. So it's kind of a card you can use in all sorts of different ways. It can be played at many different times on the track to kind of create some different scenarios. So I'm interested to see how the Cat 1-2 riders tend to go with it. At one lap completed, Willem's going to get moving here. Our rider in the black and yellow getting off the front a bit, looking for an opportunity to set that distance. He knows the next lap will be a bell to get that distance set. We got a group of 5 watching him very closely here. So they're not wanting this rider to get away too far, and that's also meaning the rest of the pack is having to start to respond a bit here off the back of him. There's the bell to get the distance set. Next lap, first rider knows the distance of the race. 2 laps complete, and you can see we've got 3 fields now, really, 3 groups of riders out here. By just 1 rider. I think our largest group is actually the back group, so we've got kind of 2 groups of 6 off the front. The sprint for the distance. This group going for it a bit more. It looks like Taylor Crane, Christian Miller looking to get it. Taylor Crane, I think, will get it on the outside, unofficially. Just confirming for Taylor that she did win that sprint, so it's the distance is known by her and nobody else. 4 laps completed. And the junior camp coach trying to put on a show here. Still no bell, and we don't know when it's coming, so the group is riding kind of cautiously, keeping themselves together. A couple riders off the back of the pace are getting back closer to this field. Thanks to a nod of really high tempo from the front. Of course, as Willem gets back there, the rider in that black and yellow, the initial attack way back before the bell. As soon as he gets to the front, he's working again, so he's bringing the group right back up to speed and making it hard for the riders behind him. There's the bell. 1 to go. 6 laps completed. It's 1 to go. It's a 7-lap race for the Cat 1-2s. Bell's already ringing. Found cycling on a big move here. So is Pied Broadmark. I'm looking at the white helmet there for Andy Baker coming around the right-hand side, trying to use that slipstream. It'll be a 2-up sprint here and a good one. Andy Baker's got some good speed. It looks like it'll be Baker taking this one. Nicely done. Through the back straight there on that sprint. Very good. So that is it for the OneKnown Distance rides today. Coming up next, our junior camp going on this last week is finishing up today. They had their last session on Friday, 1 week of learning how to ride on a fixed gear bike, and here we go. We've started this tradition this year. We're hoping it turns into a tradition. We think it's a good idea. Why don't we celebrate the young riders that are going to be joining our community that we expect to see more of? They're going to be coming out here and racing on Monday nights. They might find themselves continuing for a couple more years and working into some of our other fields. Who knows what their future holds in terms of following this camp, but at the least, we'd like to kind of give a formal welcome and celebration of their work from the week, and also that we excited to see them race more here at the Velodrome. So what better way to do it than have them on a Friday night? So we're going to be running an Italian Pursuit. We're getting our lineup set. On the home straight, I believe I've got the 4 riders here lined up as Luna, Daniel, Nick, and Parker ready to compete. And our back straight group over on the infield right now along all the banners there for our sponsors. You got Attaché, Johnny, Tyler, and Dylan. And those guys are now rolling off to the back straight to get themselves set to go. So we've got some different age groups in these lineups, as you could probably tell as they're coming by. Some of them are sporting our little green frog bikes, those beautiful fixed gears for our smaller riders. Others are going to be using some of our rental fleet, the larger bikes. That's right, we have a rental fleet here. Part of the work that we've been doing over the past several years in our fundraising efforts was to have our own fleet of bikes available for our classes. Whether you're a kid or an adult, we've got sizes for every person that they can use. So you can sign up a kid for a class here. You're paying for the staffing to be there all week and the support they're receiving. But you are also, within that cost, have a bike that is going to come along with that they can use for the week, and they can continue to use afterwards. We've got rental bikes available for racing as well. So a pretty good deal here at the Velodrome. We're proud of that fleet and the ability to get people on bikes as easily as we can. The riders here are going to be going around 4 times, getting set to go in just a moment, as I think Coach has got her arm up in the air about ready to give the go signal, just making sure that our lineup on the back straight is set to go. Getting some final instructions on the back straight, as our junior assistant Will giving good information back there. I think we're looking for an arm up to make sure that we're set on the back straight. From Will, yes. If Will's ready, he's going to put his arm up so we can see. There we are. Okay. Ready? Go. Oh, hey, we have the gun ready to go. Oh, that's fantastic. I didn't even know that was going to happen. That was exciting. Off they go, juniors, for a 4-lap race. So what's going to happen here is every lap, the rider at the front is going to go ahead and get off of the lineup so they can kind of take turns doing the work. They're going to peel all the way down to the last rider. We'll see which group of riders gets there first. The back straight's off to a good start. They're a little ahead of the home straight right now. That's Attaché doing a good job on that first lap. And on the other side, that's Luna getting things started for the home straight team. We're just having fun here, folks. As they come by, make lots of noise for the juniors and welcome them into our community. We're excited to have them and all the work they did this week. Nicely done. Coming to the front now, I got Daniel on the lead of the lap. They're going to want to do their best to stay together and benefit from their draft as they go through this. One of the things they worked on this week is understanding how to use that sprinter's lane and keep a close proximity. Watch your front wheel. Get it right up behind the rider in a safe way. All right. Mid-effort here is Johnny on the front for the back straight team. It's getting a little closer now, actually. Look at this. Our two teams are almost in the same spot on the track here, so it's nice and even. Give a little encouragement here. Nick's taking over. He's up out of the saddle trying to get this thing moving again, so nice job by him. Looking at the back straight. They're also down to 2 riders, so a little gap opened up. A big move there from the 3rd rider. Who is that in the big effort? Tyler opened it up there. He wants to go get it. Digging deep. Nice work. They're just about even still. A slight advantage to the home straight team right now. Don't worry, they both win tonight. It's a lot of cheering and success for our whole group. One to go. It's one to go for both groups. One to go. One to go. I got Parker there in the yellow taking the final lap up against Dylan in the red. They're both a half lap out. Let's see where they are at the halfway point here. I've got home straight still slightly advantaged. It's going to be close. Corner one's helping Dylan out there on his last lap. All right, here we go, folks. Big noise for the finish. Ho! The home straight will take it by just a second or two there. Very nice. Taylor, would you like your team back over there with you real quick? Looks like they're all rolling back to you anyways. Got it. All right, so juniors, congrats on your work this week, and thank you for coming out here tonight. How about another round of applause for our juniors, and most importantly, Mom and Dad for paying the ticket price and helping them get here. We appreciate you. If you have somebody in your life that needs something to do during the summer, adult or kid, we've got classes, and they're pretty easy to sign up for. They go on all summer long. The registration for the classes can be made online at velodrome.org. Pretty easy to find there at the top of our menu. There's a programs drop down, and in there we've got classes for youth, our adult classes, and of course some clinics that we sometimes offer through the year that you can sign up for. Again, our website, velodrome.org. There are still some spots open for adults and our kids to get trained up and learn to race here at the track. Adult courses are only 4 hours long. They go from noon to 4. $50 covers the price and gets you the bike that you need, so it's a good price. Plus, we'll give you a whole bunch more free rentals after that so you can continue to race. So very low barrier of entry for our folks that want to come out and just give it a try and learn more. Let's say you've been a fan for several years and you hear us talking about what it's like to be a racer and you're ready to actually experience it, even just to have a better understanding of what's going on. We have a lot of people show up that have no intention of really being a racer. They just want to know more about the sport that they're interested in. We'd be happy to give you some information as well in that course. Once again, I encourage you to go to our website where you can sign up for that today. Check our schedule from your smart device by heading to velodrome.org and signing up for one of our great classes this summer. If nothing fits your schedule, we'll be back again next year as we come into the preseason. You can look for us then. Again, on our website coming into spring of next year, we'll be posting the dates for next year's classes as well. Keirins are coming up. We begin with the Cat 3 men Keirin heats. Cat 3 men heats. Heat A is Secondbaugh, Rackness, Siegel, Harrison, McClinton, and Wilson. On deck is Heat B. Lee, Bryan, Seahorn, Lentz, Prados, and Schmidt will be coming up here in just a moment. Juniors, we're going to get you out of the track. Go ahead and go through the open gate, please. Thank you very much. We continue to promote these guys because they did us a solid this year in being our beverage garden sponsor for the Grand Prix. Our new partner this year, Stanley, the very same legendary thermos that you know to come and love, that old classic Stanley thermos. The company is here in Seattle, and they're making great new modern products to match their lineup of other competitors out there. And you're going to want to check this product out. It's good stuff. And to incentivize us even more to try out Stanley product, you can now use a coupon code Velodrome on your next online order at stanley-pmi.com. Put in that Velodrome coupon code at the end and immediately receive 30% off your next order. And as long as you spend $50 or more, you also get free shipping, and it comes in just a day or two. It's a great deal. Again, head to stanley-pmi.com. The more folks here that use that Velodrome code, the more we're going to send the message loud and clear to our friends at Stanley that we're serious about partnering with them here at the Velodrome, that we like their product, and we thank them for their sponsorship. You only have a few more days left, basically through the end of this month, to be able to pop in that code. Coming up next, we do have these heats for the Keirins, a 4-lap event where riders are going to be moving up into a major final or a minor final, depending on how they finish in these heats. So these riders do get another chance to race tonight. Signal's going to the pacer to go on their way. Our starter there will give them the sound they need to hear to get them started in just a moment as the pacer comes back around onto the home straight. I've got top 3 advancing to the major final. Bottom 3 will be heading to the minor. So the pacer's job here is to bring our group up to speed really consistently. Now, here at our Velodrome, we've kind of adopted a 1.5 to go when the pacer will pull out of the way. So essentially 2.5 laps of bringing us up to speed, and then the pacer will get out of the way. Now, on our 400-meter track, that's still 600 meters to go. And if you've been watching when riders like to sprint around here, that's a long ways out. So it's also not that uncommon at our track. We've come to learn that it's pretty common to see riders pull up after the pacer gets out of the way and kind of almost reset the race a little bit. So it's a little bit moot here sometimes how this happens at the beginning, but it also does carry forward into the way that they want to tactically approach those last couple meters, because sometimes there are riders at the front of these lineups that have a really good effort for the long distance kind of attacks, and they will use the speed given to them by the pacer to kind of accelerate off the front and try something. Chris Wilson of the Fountain Cycling Guild is the first rider in the lineup for this group. Right behind him, I've got Artem Schmidt in the red and black. Our leader for the season, Ben Rackness, the winner of our first race, is third in this group right now. He's the third rider with that neon leader's jersey, so you can easily tell where he's at. Coming into the Bell Lap, it's still going to be our rider in the dark green at the front of it, Chris Wilson. Will Harrison in the blue is the fourth wheel. Top 3 advance to the major final, so this isn't the end of their night. They're right now working on getting a top place in the Keirin in tonight's program, so they got to be top 3 to earn that right. It's still going to be the rider at the front still holding that position, as now it looks like maybe Siegel from the back end is trying to get in on this as well. Rackness, Siegel, and our Fountain Cycling rider, Chris Wilson, will hold on, it looks like. Unofficially, those 3 are making their way into the major final. Coming up after Heat B, we'll have the women for their... Excuse me, we're not doing heats for them. They're going straight to finals. So after that, we'll go into the heats for the Cat 1-2 men. We have 3 heats posted for them. So on deck is Heat A for the Cat 1-2 men. Carlberg, Pryhuber, Rogers, Adams, Robson, and Hodgins are that first heat. Looking for 3 more to qualify in this heat to join in on the fun for the major final. The other riders will get to ride again for the minor finals. The way that works is the major final will be the ride for 1st through 6th. So you know you got to put in just enough effort to get into that if you want to be in the top positions tonight for our Keirin. The pacer is on its way here for our second heat. Out of the 5, 3 advance. Off we go. Again, 3 will be joining in for the major final. So now we are getting ourselves lined up as it's David Bryan for the Dyna Racing team that is drawing the first position. How do they get lined up, you might be wondering? Well, the way they line up is the same way they lined up back here before the pacer came by them. And that order is determined by random roll out of the, they actually draw out of a bag in our case, but any way to randomize where you are in that lineup as you come up to the line. In this case, we have a little bag that we draw the numbers out of, and then you take those numbers with you to the line, and that is where you are. If you draw 1, then you are going to be right behind the pacer to start the race. At this point, the riders could actually begin to shuffle if they wanted to. The rider at the front can't abandon that position, but let's say somebody else rides up alongside of him and says, you know what, I'm going to take the front. Then that's totally fine at this point, now that the race is underway. It's just that initial portion that they're forced to get in the same lineup that they draw, and it's very unusual at our track to see a whole lot of shifting of position in this race once they get lined up and set. Hyun Lee is the rider in second position right now. Behind him, we got Joel Lentz of the Apex Racing team. Carl Premes is 4th in the group. He's riding for the Jerry Baker Jr.'s team, and then Dyna Racing kind of bookending the group as we got Brett Seahorn as the 5th rider in the group. Two to go. Pacer will leave on the back straight. You can see the consistent improvement in speed each time as Taylor, one of our competitors, is proudly jumping up on the pacer to help us out tonight. Is working on getting the group up to speed as consistently as she can. She's using our fantastic e-bike, coming by the way of one of our great sponsors, Greg Cycles, helping us pick up that one last year to help with us with our Keirin work. Top 3 qualify to get into the major finals. Bell's ringing for 1 to go. It's Lentz at the front for Apex in the blue. You can see riders beginning to shuffle a little bit as they came into that final portion of the lap. Joel will pull up and out of the way. He wants someone else to lead this out. Carl Premes says, I'll do it. He's at the front at the right time. He says the 300-meter effort's just up my alley, and he is doing good work here. He's trying to drop the rest of the riders enough that he can kind of cruise through the end of the race. Again, top 3 is all you need. Coming through the turn, Premes to the front. Hyun Lee coming out of the turn, trying to join in on it. Joel Lentz is on his way to join as well. It'll be Lentz, Lee, and Premes. Yeah, nice finish there for those 3. They'll be making their way on for another race into the major final. Heat A for the Cat 1-2 men's is coming up now. The first heat for the Cat 1-2 men is coming up. If you find yourself enjoying tonight at all, we hope that if this is your first time visiting, thank you for coming out and joining us. If you've been here before, hope you're finding yourself still having a good time here on a Friday night. We're so glad that you could be with us on the outside looking in here. One of the things that makes our Velodrome special is our weekly attendance is great. We've got a lot of spectators that come and watch, and it helps make our environment more lively. I would encourage you here, as we're getting into the Keirins, especially as we work towards our finals, to don't be afraid to make some noise as we're getting these finishes going. Let riders know that you're here tonight and supporting their work, because they are working really hard on this hot evening. And Ben's going to jump up on the pacer. Thank you very much. One of the benefits of that e-bike, you can see it's got some readout information. So it's basically you got the speedometer and the assistance on there, so you're not totally killing yourself riding it up to speed. The speedometer on there will help us get a good sense of how quick we're bringing the group up, as we're trying to be as consistent from field to field as possible. As I was finishing up before, as our riders go by, do not be afraid to make some noise and clap your hands, especially as the bell's ringing. That's a good time to make some noise and then let the riders know you're excited to see the finish on the races. Getting our group set, and the pacer gets the signal. For the Cat 1-2 men, we've got 3 heats, so only the top 2 advance, so the stakes have risen. A little harder to get into the final, in the major final in this group. Third and 4th place will ride again in the minor final. There you go. The grandstands are figuring it out. Mike Robson at the front will draw that first position, so he takes the bike to start this thing off. He's got Pryhuber right behind him for the Liquid Velo team in black and green. Mike Rogers riding in that black kit with the white bike underneath him is the 3rd rider in the lineup. Right behind him in the kind of dark wine red colored top is going to be one of our junior riders, Brennan Hodgins. The leader's jersey for the Cat 1-2s, our elite riders, is right behind him. That's Andrew Karlberg. So he's been doing the best this season overall in terms of getting good places in the race, always being competitive and being here week to week. At the back end, for Dyna Racing, we've got Nolan Adams. Black and pink. So 2 advance to the major final, so the whole field is going to be competing in these races. A little bit different than the last one where, okay, well, if I'm not in the top 3, I'm basically going to another race. In this case, 2 riders don't get to continue tonight in the Keirins. 2 will go to the minors, and 2 will go to the majors. So every rider is going to be fighting for position here, and we'll expect a little bit more speed and competition necessary for our riders tonight if they want to keep racing the Keirin. No change of position, although a little bit of bunching as they're coming into the home straight here. Pacer about to come out of the way as Rackness is going to take a left-hand turn here on the back straight. Goes in the warm-up circle, and it's now Robson at the front, the rider in that dark kit, who's been there the whole time, and you can see there's that bunching up going behind him. As they're coming out of the turn on the home straight, we're looking for 2 to go to the major finals. Who wants to be a top rider tonight in the Keirin? There we go. 1 to go. Mike Rogers in the black, and that white frame underneath him is really starting to pick up the pace here. He's got a dangerous rider on his wheel. Likely our fastest finisher on the track right now in terms of top speed, so he's trying to use that where he is in the field to just come around in the final 200 meters. He's on pace to do so. Pryhuber's trying to match on his wheel to see if he can get into the major final as well. Karlberg and Hodgins. I believe Brennan Hodgins will be our second advancer to the major finals. I got Pryhuber and Robson unofficially making it to the minor finals. Our pace will go around for another go at it as Heat B is now coming up. Chip Chase, Miller, Haldeman, Darlene, Baker, Crane, and Kaiser all coming to the line. On deck is Heat C, Williams, Max, Martinez, Cole, Russell, and Kroll. Our largest heat here, so again, kind of randomized. This one came out to be 7, so we'll have 2 riders still advancing to the major, 2 to the minor, and 3 are going to be done out of this crew. Come over and join us in the beverage garden. We got some delicious cold beverages tonight. If you haven't tried out Locust Ciders, you got to give them a try. They're up in Woodinville, and they are blowing up for a good reason. They are a great company making some fantastic product. Mac and Jack's Brewery, of course, Redmond staple. Going through kind of a refresh right now in their marketing and doing an excellent job with some new brews. We got Resolution IPA tonight. And of course, we've got OS Winery here, an Old Soto name with some fantastically created wines and crafted wines, and they are pouring this evening. If you come over to the beverage garden into the yellow fencing, you will be benefiting our programs here. All purchases in the beverage garden help raise funds for the ongoing work here at the Velodrome. So drink up and have a good time tonight. We'd appreciate it. The pacer is on its way between turns 3 and 4. Here comes our second heat. Darlene draws position 1 for center cycles in the all blue, so he'll move himself up to be right behind the pacer. Matt Haldeman is the rider in second wheel, another one of our sponsors. Hand-built wheels by Haldeman. You can check that new product out. So he'll be in second position there. Chip Chazé, as he goes by in the month of July, is the third rider in the group. Black and green for Liquid Velo. Looks like Willem Kaiser is the fourth rider in the black and yellow. Taylor Crane, who's just fresh off of her efforts leading the last riders around on the pacer, will slot in there with the black, and she's got some of the floor highlights in there, is the fifth rider. Sixth in the lineup in the all black, Christian Miller, and Andy Baker will be the seventh in that lineup. You recall Baker, our winner from the first race, number 99, picking the biggest number in the field at the beginning of this season. Last time we'll see the pacer on the front. About to give way to the chaos here for our second heat. Again, two riders going to make it into that all-important major final. Darlene is that rider at the front, and it looks like we have a completely unchanged lineup. So as announced earlier, the riders are still there. The blue center cycle is now the front of the race. Holding his hand-built tire or wheels are right there in second position. Bell's ringing for one to go. Top two advance to the majors. Haldeman likes the sound of that bell. He's going to try to go around corner one at the front of this thing, but he's got everybody breathing down his neck. Christian Miller starting to lock it in. Gets that opening he was looking for a little bit higher on the track, and now bops down into that sprinter's lane. He brings along that fast finisher from the last race as Baker is in good form tonight. Miller clicking away from this field with a nice powerful move out of turn two. Baker and Miller. I've got Crane and Chip Chazé making their way into the minor. And our final heat coming up. Heat C for the Cat 1-2 men is Williams, Max, Martinez, Cole, Russell, and Kroll. On deck, we've got the minor final for the Cat 3 men. The minor final for the Cat 3 men. I've got the riders David Bryan, Will Harrison, Aiden McClinton, Brett Seahorn, Artem Schmidt are the riders in that field. They are followed by the major final of Hyun Lee, Ben Rackness, Alex Siegel, Joel Lentz, Chris Wilson, and Carl Pradis. And the pacer gets the signal. Again, that minor final's on deck, so we'll have the minor final for the Cat 3 men over on the infield, please. Two more to send to the major finals from this group. And off we go. Nick Martinez for the Pi Broadmark Racing Team is the first rider behind the pacer in the black and yellow and white. Brandon Russell of Fount Cycling is the second rider. That's the dark green kit. In the blue with the white helmet, bib number 1, Kenny Williams for Center Cycles. On his wheel, I got joining us again from the Broadmoor Capital team, Alden Kroll. Vern Cole in the black and green of Liquid Velo, and the back end of our group for Hagens Berman is Ludo Max in the black and blue. So as I said earlier, these are going to be a little bit faster heats. That first one was very competitive. Heat 2 kind of got away from the group as Miller pulled away out of turn 2. We'll see how this group tries to play this one out with 2 more advancing into that major final to make a group of 6 for the top 6 positions. Last time the pace will be on there, just a moment before it pulls out of the way, leaving Martinez to be at the front of this race unless things change pretty quickly. Looks like it'll still be Martinez dragging the group with him. And no slowing in the pace. In fact, he puts a little bit of pressure down on the pedals. He wants to keep this thing quick at the moment. So a little bit of work coming out here from Martinez at the front. 2 advance, 1 to go. 1 to go. Who's going to start moving up here? As the pace has been held really consistently. Martinez with a nice effort of 600 meters. Looks like he's just going to continue to try to drive it that way. Now here comes Russell's from the Found Cycling Guild. Up and out of the saddle. Look at this finish. You can see his toes pointing down as he's putting a lot of power down on those pedals. He's being joined by the speedster from Kenmore, the rider in blue and white, getting off the front, and they are positioning themselves to make it in this major final. Looking for anybody else. They ain't there. 2 riders for the major will be Williams and Russell there. I believe for the minor, it might have been Ludo, Max, and Vern Cole. That's unofficial. Alden Kroll was right in there as well. A warning from the officials for number 26, Russell, for not holding the line in the sprint. Just a warning for Russell for not holding line in the sprint, number 26. Minor final for the 3s coming up. David Bryan, Will Harrison, Aiden McClinton, Brett Seahorn, and Artem Schmidt will be going here. They are followed by the major final. Those riders can start getting themselves set to go. Hyun Lee, Ben Rackness, Alex Siegel, Joel Lentz, Chris Wilson, Carl Pratis for the major final. We do this thing every week, so if you are finding yourself having a good time and looking for a Friday night destination, you're already come out to the park because you know it's a great place to be here in King County Parks. Our good friends putting together this beautiful location in Merrimore Park. If you're already heading out on a Friday evening and you know you're going to be here, you might as well stop in, throw the $5 for the gate admission. I know it's a little bit of cash at the door, but I think you'll understand where that money's going to help our local athletes. Being able to put on this kind of event every week is not free, so we thank you for your patronage and your support here at the track. We'll be here every week at 7 o'clock, racing as long as weather permits. We are an outdoor facility, and if there's rain on this racing surface, it is not safe. So we do stay off of it when it's wet. We'd advise our public to do so as well. When we're not using this space, this is a publicly owned facility, as a lot of public funds were used in its original construction. So if we're not on it and there's no fixed gears on here, you can actually bring your own vehicle out here at some other point, whether that's a bike, some kind of it can be a fixed gear bike, it can be a bike you'd ride out on the road. You can give it a try. We just ask that you be really cognizant of anybody who's here doing any type of workouts or anything along those lines, as it does tend to go to them first if we can help it. And we're off for the minor final. Our 5 riders going here. David Bryan, I think he pulled that position before. He gets first both times. Hopefully he likes being right behind the pacer. Besides the patronage of course, our fantastic fans that come here on Friday nights and help support what we're doing here, we've got a lot of other help that comes our way every single year. I've mentioned a couple already. I haven't mentioned the support of Pyatt Broadmark Management LLC. Jeff Pyatt and his fantastic group have been supporting the track for years. You actually can see some riders on his team out here, the black, yellow, and white group. None in this field, but plenty out here tonight. Our thanks to Pyatt Broadmark Management LLC for their ongoing support. Also, big thanks to King County Parks. If you haven't had an opportunity to kind of take a look at the race surface itself, you'll see some cracks and some lines all around the track. This thing was built in 1975, and no, it does not just sit there. It needs work. As it shifts and the ground beneath it moves, we've had to continue to repair it. Those are not free, and they're not cheap, actually. And the King County Parks has been very, very gracious in this past year in stepping up in a large way to put a lot of money behind the track and keeping it in safe condition. So another thanks to King County Parks for their ongoing support of the track and their partnership through all these years. And with the sound of the bell on the back straight, the pacer is pulling out of the way. Brett Seahorn moved himself up to the front position, so he's in the lead right now. As it looks like we're going to be coming into the bell with Seahorn on the lead. Dyna Racing here. Arm Schmidt trying to pick up some pace. That's the rider. He's got some of the national colors there on his jersey. A national crit champion. Criterium Racing, if you went to Derby Days, you would have seen the Derby Day crit going on just a couple weekends ago. At the front there, our young rider with some speed, showing his stuff here, trying to find the top position in the minor final. It looks like he's got Apex Racing right with him, though, coming out of the turn. Schmidt trying to hold on, and it's going to be close to the line. Oh, I'm going to give it right down the middle, as it looks like our rider for Apex Racing, Will Harrison, will win the minor final tonight. Upcoming now are the major final competitors. They are riding for first through sixth place tonight for the Cat 3 men in the Keirin. On deck are the women for their Keirin final. Women's Keirin final is on deck. Again, here we are racing for the top 6 positions in the Keirin tonight. So out of our field, we basically split them in half into a minor final, a major final. This will be the riders that made it into that top half and are now facing off each other for those top places. And with the final instructions given and the final check-ins, our pacers on the way. Off we go. The major final, top 6 places, 4 to go. Chris Wilson for Found Cycling drew number 1 and will be the first rider in this lineup. Hyun Lee is right behind him. We just talked about the Pipe Broadmark Management sponsor. That's the team in second position. Joel Lentz is the rider for Apex Racing with the blue and the black shorts. The leader's jersey for Ben Rackness is the 4th rider, our pacer for the Cat 1-2 men. Not sure if that's an advantage or a disadvantage yet. I'll have to ask him after the racing is done. Alex Siegel in 5th spot there in the mostly black kit. And then rounding things out for the Jerry Baker Jr.'s team, Carl Paredes. Speaking of the Jerry Baker Jr. team, we do have a sponsored junior team here that young riders can sign up for, where they receive extra benefits of being part of a team where we get the organization together, help our riders develop, give them some more training opportunities. Of course, the kit and the community that comes along with that. That is intended for young riders in our community that are looking for a team to be a part of. You can sign up for that. There is a registration cost online. We'd encourage riders, if possible, to register whenever they think they might want to join in on the fun. But, of course, the major portion of our kind of action has already passed as we try to make a big push for nationals kind of early summer of this year. Nonetheless, we're still an operating team. You can check that out online at velodrome.org and see if that might be a good fit for you. Bit of a split here. Seeing some room opening up behind the pacer. Siegel's looking around him going, I have to do this? Do I have to do the work now? If riders at the front were being a little bit more aware, they might know what's going on behind them. As at the front of the field, Chris Wilson for Found Cycling is getting a lot of noise here. As the bell's ringing. That gap's starting to close down now. 1 to go, 1 to go. That's the loudest I've ever heard the infield. I might need to go down and give them a wireless mic for the next time they're racing. Down the back straight, it looks like our group has caught. Joel Lentz is going to be the one that's really bringing it up to speed. Hyun Lee was hoping to get there himself, but he didn't get there in time. He got boxed in a little bit as Lentz came up and around the right-hand side. The rider in blue is making a big move for it, Joel Lentz. And it'll be Joel Lentz for the Keirin tonight. Alex Siegel with some great speed on the outside edge will pick up second, and I think the leader's jersey is in third in the Keirin. That was entertaining. Coming on the track now, our women's Keirin final. After the women, we are going to the minor final for the Cat 1-2 men. The minor final is Chipchaze, Pryhuber, Martinez, Cole, Robson, and Crane. Our pacer is on the way for our women's final. Our group's going straight to final here. Our 6 riders going for first through 6th place in the Keirin. Allie Olsen in the inside position to start this thing off in the white with some green. That's for the Esther Racing team. Will be the first up to that moto. Right behind her is Kelly Darlene, also riding for the Jerry Baker Jr.'s team. The leader's jersey is currently on Annette Williams, the Center Cycles rider, in 3rd position. So usually in an all-blue kit, she's got that yellow leader's jersey on her right now. Bryn Ward in the black with the pink shoes is 4th in the positioning. Riding for the single malt Velo team. Looks like it's going to be Judah Secondbaugh that is joining in on the fun there. Bib 215 is the 5th rider. And the 6th one in the group is Ashley Moore for Huggins Berman. Our field of 6 getting themselves up to speed. Another lap with the Pacers. So you'll see the speed continue to increase here over the next 400 meters. Again, on deck is the minor final for the Cat 1-2s. They're followed by the major final. That'll be the last of the Keirins before we get into some scratch racing tonight. Tabasum's still open. They've got the hot pies ready to serve. They made them today, and they brought them right to us. Out of the truck, you can pick up some delicious savory pies. They got some curry-flavored options. Vegan mushroom. That was fantastic. I have that one to try this week. Tabasum food truck is here. You can even take one home with you and reheat it when you get home. They are fantastic little treats out of the food truck tonight. Come on over behind the grandstands and pick one up for yourself. Esther Racing is leading the way down the back straight, so the Pacers now out of the way. Our group of 6 has not changed their order. Kelly Darlene in 2nd in that lineup, the leader's jersey in 3rd. Bells ringing. 1 to go for the women. 1 to go. Allie Olsen leaning it down still. She's been up here for 400 meters already. How much longer can she hold on? Darlene is looking over the shoulder going like, when's someone going to attack? I'm waiting for you, Annette. Here comes Annette. That boxes Kelly in, so Kelly now has to find some room to move. She's not going to be able to until it's too late. Williams getting away from her. Secondbaugh getting up there to the front as well. It's going to be Williams coming out of the turn at the front. Just driving it. Look at the power from Annette Williams. Just keeping it nice and low and smooth. Judah was really trying to challenge the line and wasn't able to get there. Annette Williams will take this one. Unofficially, Judah Secondbaugh, our 2nd place finisher, with Kelly in 3rd. We're in a hold for just a moment as we are checking in with our minor final start list. Might have been a slight error, so give us just a moment to make sure we're all configured and set to go. Fred's Race is the next big event here at the track. We just had the Vision Grand Prix 2 weekends ago. Fantastic fast racing. That was actually just a weekend ago. Feels like forever ago. It just happened. We had track records broken. Fastest racing of our season, one of our favorite records to kind of watch and see, is a field record, basically a race for a 10-mile scratch race. That record was broken as one of our out-of-towners won on a solo break and forced back the field. That was an exciting race. There were moments in the time trials that were fun to watch as we had an out-of-towner. Our USA cycling competitor, Madeline Godby, broke 2 records here for women elite times on the 500-meter and the 200-meter. Plenty of excitement throughout that weekend, and you can revisit all of it by going to the YouTube channel and checking out those sessions now. Our YouTube channel is JB Space Velodrome. If you find any of this kind of interesting and would like to keep up to date with what we're doing, or maybe you know you won't be able to make a Friday night and you just want to be able to watch racing whenever it's streaming, we'd appreciate a subscription on our channel at JB Space Velodrome. Push the bell, of course, to get the alerts when we're streaming, although you can pretty much count on it every week through the summer months. On Friday nights, we're going to start the stream up right before our 7 o'clock start. Fred's Race is August 16th. If you are thinking about participating in that, it is the regional championships on the track, so our riders are going to be getting set to go for that one. Every age group is going to be hosted here, so we've got competition for our juniors, the elites. We've got age-based masters competitions for time trialing, for mass start, for sprint tournament, Keirins, all of that's going to be going on Fred's Race. You can find more information online, fredsrace.com. Of course, go to the website, velodrome.org, and all the links for that information is there as well. All right, so a revised start list for the minor final, confirming that David Chipchazé, Ludo Max, Andrew Pryhuber, Vern Cole, Mike Robson, and Taylor Crane participating in this minor final. On deck for the major final, Kenny Williams, Andrew Karlberg, Christian Miller, Brandon Russell, Brennan Hodgins, and Andy Baker.
We in the game. We on the stage. It's 508. You know the name. We in the game. We on the stage. It's 508. You know the name. We get it lit. We make them rave. It's the campaign. Pop the champagne.
Coming up now, we've got our 2 fields that qualified to continue to compete in the Keirin. These riders came across the line 3rd or 4th in their fields. Their 4 positions will be for 7th through 12th in the Keirin. Coming up next will be the ride for 1st through 6th. Pacer gets the signal, so Ben will be on his way. Minor final now underway. Pryhuber is position 1, so he'll get this thing started behind the pacer. That is Little Max in 2nd position. Vern Cole moving into 3rd for Liquid Velo. 3 riders in that team in this field, as the 3rd of those riders is the 4th position, David Chipchazé. Robson in 5th, and the 6th rider in that lineup is Taylor Crane. Getting into that position initially, but then starting to reconfigure pretty quickly as it looked like Chip Chase was moving up towards the front. Slots back into 4th wheel. Couple more laps with the pacer as we'll bring him up to speed. Again, 7th through 12th in the field here, so there's still some pride at the line. And of course, when the race starts, all you're thinking about is how fast you can go. You're just trying to get to the line as fast as you can. So our field here competing nonetheless, as even though they didn't make the break for that major final. Vern Cole is pushing himself up to the front, so is Chip Chase now. Premes not going to fight their tendency to want to get up in there and be the front of this lineup. They are allowed to reshift as they'd like after the race has kind of got it started. Ludo Max doesn't like what he sees. He's going to start to move up, rider 14. So this has been the most active field, our Cat 1-2 men. Before the Pacers out of the way, we have seen more movement in this group than any before. Riders just now kind of getting themselves up to speed as the Pacers going to be leaving. The goal is to be somewhere near 30 miles an hour, so they're not at sprinting speed. If you're under 30, you're not sprinting yet. Vern Cole at the front. Ludo Max is waiting for somebody to move around him. That's Chip Chase, who wants to try to push a little bit more speed out of those wheels before this thing gets going. Nice move from the back end of the field. Look out for Robson, who's starting to accelerate nicely here. Vern Cole's at the front, but he's losing that position rapidly as now Robson's on the move. Taylor Crane, one of our local specialists and junior coach for the week, wants to try to grab one here. Robson at the lead. Taylor Crane digging in. Robson, Crane, and Pryhuber will go 1, 2, 3 across the line. I heard the awes from the kids on the front here. They were hoping. Nice effort nonetheless. And coming up now, our ride for 1st through 6th. We do need a very quick break for the Pacers battery to switch out. We're running a little low on power tonight. Good thing there's a second one charged up. So we're going to just do that one real quick. But don't go anywhere, because in just a moment, it'll be the fast finish for 1st through 6th place for the Cat 1-2 men coming up in just a second. So we're going to get that new battery placed in on the Pacer, and then we're going to be on our way here momentarily. Again, if you're on the outside kind of wondering, is this something that I might want to try myself? And I don't have one of those crazy looking skin suits. I don't own a bike like that with a fancy big rear wheel. And my helmet looks kind of, like I'm supposed to go on a fun weekend ride. And is this really something for that? None of that stuff really matters in terms of just starting out. A lot of these riders came into this community knowing somebody who was a rider, may or may not have been on a team. None of those things are prerequisites for participating. We are an open community in that regards. The easiest way to get involved is to get into one of the classes that we offer, because that is the official way to become designated as a racer, so you're allowed to start participating. If racing isn't what you want to be looking into do, maybe you want to start just volunteering, or you have some more questions about how you can be of assistance or of help to us. We have some great people in our community, like Elizabeth, who stepped up to do our graphics for the live stream. We got people that are stepping up our corporate sponsorships out in the community. Lots of ways to get involved here at the Velodrome. Probably the best way for those things is just to ask a question. Come up and have a conversation with one of us. I see the Marymore Velodrome Association president is here. I'm sure he'd be mostly nice to talk to. He doesn't bite most days. I'm available to speak to if you have any questions or would like to just kind of bounce some ideas off of. We're always looking for more help, more ideas, and more riders, of course, to join our community. So if you have any thoughts like that, just bring them on over to the announcer stand, yell them up. We'll have a conversation, or find me right after racing is done. We will be hanging out as we're closing down shop this evening after our last race, which is only a couple races out. We've got 3 scratch races left, which will go by real quick. You'll be surprised how fast those go. 2 scratch races, thank you. So it looks like our Pacer is in a better position now. A little bit more power readout on the screen. We got down to 1 bar and it was getting a little scary. In our major final, we've got ourselves lined up for the 1st through 6th place ride. Andy Baker is lined up in position 1 down the sprinter's lane. Brennan Hodgins next to him in that dark red kit for corner 4 racing. Center Cycles in the all blue is Kenny Williams. Next to him is Brandon Russell of the Fountain Cycling Guild. That's the dark green kit. The leader's jersey for Andrew Carlberg is in lane 5. And on the outside in the all black, he rides for 10 Speed Hero, is Christian Miller. Pacer is on his way for our major final. Coming up next, Cat 3 men and women for the scratch race with Premes. Looks like we're back to configuring our pacer up real quick. So another pause in the action. Our apologies. We'll be back with it soon as it looks like we're just trying to make sure that this thing's actually working under the power of the battery, not just under his own power. We good now, Ben? Looks like he's rolling away. Oh, yeah. That thing's got some pickup now. Again, our thanks to Greg Cycles for helping us with a good deal on our e-bike solution. It is a great solution for us if we remember to plug in every battery. Greg Cycles located conveniently in Alderwood, Bellevue, and of course Seattle. Family owned, best customer service and prices available around in our community. And the best part about it is once you purchase a bike through them, they'll continue to service it for its life. Check them out. Greg Cycles, again, one of our great sponsors for years here at the Velodrome. How many bike racers does it take to... Okay, I won't start that joke. Okay, maybe a third time's the charm. I did hear someone say that. Oh, yeah. Okay, we can finally get this thing going. How about a round of applause if we finally got to this moment? Yeah. Persistence pays off. All right, so here we go. Major final. Lots of build up to this moment. Thanks to a bit of issue on the batteries, but we are good to go as our pacer will bring us up to speed again over the next 2.5 laps. Andy Baker, as announced earlier, our leading rider right now for Pipe Broadmark with that white helmet that you can see in position 1. Ian Miller looked really strong in that second heat, but his buddy from that heat is all the way back at the end of the lineup, Christian Miller. So we'll see how they ride away from the field on this one, how they're going to be able to launch their moves, as now all the fast finishers are together in this one field. So, of course, spoke about him earlier tonight. Our leader's jersey oftentimes makes this event one of his main goals. This is something that he prides himself on, is being able to come out of this group at top speeds and close down any distance and just lead this thing out through the final lap. So we'll see if he's able to do that tonight. He's all the way back in 5th position, that brightly colored jersey. And of course, the rest of that group, all very capable speedsters as they made it out of their heats at the top of it. So we know this is a quick group. You see a couple riders that are in that second or third wheel spot have gotten themselves boxed in as they're coming down the back straight. So another thing you're thinking about if you're in this field is how long to wait before you try to come around the front rider. Baker's got a hard job now. As the pacer gets out of the way, is he just going to go? He is. He just wants to go as hard as he can. He thinks this is his best way to victory, is just use the speed of the pacer and then accelerate even more. He's already up to speed, folks. Make some noise. One to go. Baker on the go here. He's just gunning it from 600 meters. He's opened up a big gap here. Baker knows that there's a race going on behind him between the top of the Omnium. So we've got Williams and Carlberg kind of watching each other tonight. And as they're just fighting against each other, guess who's going to get away from him is Baker. But now here comes the speed of Carlberg. Don't think it's going enough to catch as Baker makes a nice move tonight. Whoa, look how fast Carlberg's coming in. Yeah, that'll do it. Baker will take first, and Carlberg will come in second as Brandon Russell in the dark green, I think, was on Carlberg's wheel for third place. That'll be our top three tonight in the Keirin. All right. Cat 3s and our women competitors to the rail for Scratch Race with Premes. Looks like we're going to make this a 25 lapper in accordance with the posted women's distance. This race has 3 Premes in it. I've got 2 cash Premes, $10 a piece, and then, oh, hold on, I should go get the prop. Sorry, I had to bring it out. So I talked about earlier the legendary thermos. I got the classic thermos from Stanley tonight on one of the laps as well. So when I announced Stanley merch, that's what's going out tonight on the lead of the lap. Scratch racing is as straightforward as it gets in the rules. If you've been out to the track before, you've probably seen a scratch because we do them a lot because they're a lot of fun to race and a lot of fun to watch. Get the rules out of the way. Let's just have some riders go fast. That's the idea in the scratch. First rider to the line at the end of the race is our winner. Nothing in the middle to get in the way except when we do these ones with Premes. Now we can actually throw out some lap prizes to encourage some fast laps along the way. I talked about Criterium racing earlier. If you went to Derby Days, you would have seen a Criterium just a couple weekends ago. That is a common feature of Criterium racing as well because they can be very fast races, but there's often a lot of monotony in the middle of the races. Riders are going around and around and around. You keep seeing them. Well, let's throw out some Premes to kind of have some fun in the middle of the race and see who will go fast. Who's got the efforts to go for some extra cash tonight? And is that going to be maybe what they're gunning for instead of the finish? That can be one way to race these races is, you know, I don't need to win tonight. I'm just going to go for some Premes this evening. That's another way to go about these types of competitions. And the whistle is signaling the beginning of the race. They've got 25 to go. Our featured race of the night tonight, the Scratch Race with Premes. Generally, when we open with a scratch, if you've been here before, you'll know that those first scratches of the night are oftentimes a little shorter. And that's because we do our last race is worth more in the Omnium standings than any of the other races. So it's usually a longer endurance race, most commonly a longer points race. Tonight with these longer scratch race, it's not as complicated as the points, but it still is very important for the riders that are competing for the leader's jersey to do well in the final race of the night. Oh. Starting to get away from the group here a little bit. Apex Racing moving ahead. 4 riders marking that move. When you're in the middle of that pack, you're kind of looking up to the front as much as you can. If you're able to look up away from your wheel for a moment and try to see what's happening in front of you, you'll see these riders trying to pull away. And in that moment, you're trying to decide whether to go for it or not or let those riders kind of get away from you. If you let the riders go away, you're thinking either they don't have enough power to stay away from the rest of this group, they're going to run out of steam, or I just don't have an interest in chasing that down. It's not to my best interest to win tonight. In this case, pretty quickly, some riders in the group go ahead and move forward to try to get that leader right back into the rest of the field. Not all is lost when you get caught, though. You still forced riders to spend effort to catch you. That's part of the strategy as well. And he's not done yet. Let's get right back to it. I believe that's going to be Joel Lenz again. 326, if I'm not mistaken. Making the move. And if I also recall, our winner from the Keirin, who's still feeling it here tonight, wants to try to put some pressure on this field. Is Joel still moving here? Ben Rackness decides he wants to try to get that rider back a little bit closer. Trying to do some work there and getting low in aero. You'll notice if you've been watching any of the tour on the telly the last couple of weeks, you'll see riders when they're in their descents getting really sharp and down to their bike, trying to get as aero as they can. Sometimes here at the track, riders in the lead position will attempt that position as well, just to try to make them a little bit more efficient as they cut through the wind. Generally not as much of a tactic here. You see more commonly that full disc rear wheel, which is kind of an odd feature on the road because it makes it harder to manage your bike, but it helps you going in a straight line here on the track, which generally this is fairly straight, not a lot of maneuverability going on. Those rear disc wheels are pretty advantageous for your aerodynamics. Common feature in a time trial on the road. Two riders watching each other here at the front, and they start to see that one rider wants to join in on the fun to make it 3. Arne Schmidt coming up from the field is going to make this group real quick at the front of the field now. So this is a break that could do something, and some of the riders in the field are also starting to feel that pressure and now responding in kind. That's going to be Rackness again wanting to do some work to chase. Questioning whether that's the right move now as he starts to look over his left shoulder to see if anybody else has joined him. One rider on his wheel. The lead group of 3, seeing 18 to go. Will Harrison for Apex Racing is the rider who just pulls up and out of the way. Already mentioned Artem Schmidt. I believe the other rider is Judas Seckenbaugh, making a group of 3 riders. Now off the front. $17 to go. Still 3 off the front, looking to get away or at least shrink down this field if they can. At some point, riders are going to have to decide if they're going to commit to chase back up there, or they're just going to be off of this race for the rest of the night. Artem Schmidt has a lot of motor in his legs. We know that. We've seen him being able to drive that pace for a long time before. I got $10 to lead the lap. $10 to lead the lap. $10 to lead the lap. At 16 to go, $10 to lead the lap. That's really just 2 riders competing for that money right now. We'll see as the field is actually starting to look at each other going, this is not an easy catch right now, guys. Can we get there? Rack is trying again. Nick Clinton with him this time. He needs some help if he's going to make that bridge happen, as this gap has been too big for anybody to close down yet. Artem Schmidt, Will Harrison, $10 on this lap. Harrison wants it. He'll take it. Our leaders are in the middle of turn 3 and 4. It's the blue of Apex and the red right behind him, making a field, this lead group of 2 as the field is coming into turn 4 now. Getting 14 to go. An impressive dual effort here. Plenty of racing still to go. And they only have each other to work with. So instead of this, with this field, you've got a lot of riders to share the work, and it is the hardest position is to be at the front, where you're the one having to work in the wind, creating the draft for others. So in the field, there's a lot more shared effort, a lot more shared power. These 2 here that are putting on a heck of a show right now, they've got nowhere to hide. They're basically taking turns leading laps. Looks like they're doing 200-meter pulls at this point, so they're going to be, I'll take front, you take back, and we'll just keep this going as long as we can. Yeah, they're on different teams. Yeah, they may not be best buds, but right now they are benefiting from each other's presence on the track. Leaders coming into the 12 to go moment now as they're coming onto the home straight. Very impressive work by these two, and they continue to stay away from this field. This might be the race, it might not be. There's still plenty of laps to go. At 12 to go, the distance between the field and the leaders has been held fairly steady. 100-some meters separating them. Leaders seeing 11 to go. I got a new way to do this. How about a $10 Preme out of the pack? $10 to lead out of our field. Field Preme, $10 to lead. $10 to lead out of the field. So the leaders are not eligible for this Preme. I'm going to give it to the pack only, so encouraging them to do a bit of a sprint here. We'll see what they do with it. It might actually be helpful as now the riders are starting to kind of set up and get ready for a sprint, maybe thinking $10 is a decent payout. In front of them, though, our leaders really putting on a nice show tonight. 10 to go. The $10 sprint looking like Fountain Cycling wants to pick it up tonight. Like Chris Wilson, $10 richer. Nine to go for the leaders, 9 to go. Here's our chasing field. If you want to see one of these riders get there, they're going to need some encouragement here pretty soon. There's still plenty of laps left to make that gap go away, but they're going to have to start getting organized in the next, I'd say 3 or 4 laps they've got left to kind of sit here where they are. And then they're going to have to really start either working consistently to close it down or get ready to go on a big move. It is possible with a ton of finishing speed in the last couple laps they might be able to get here. 8 to go. 8 to go for the chasing group. Our field, look at the distance. That's a little closer now. Siegel's looking around. He's saying, I think they've gotten a little closer. Not close enough to call it caught by any means. And these two off the front are still putting on a nice clinic in how to do a nice consistent effort for 2 riders between Harrison and Schmidt. I got the Thermos to lead the lap. I got Stanley Merchandise to lead the lap. Stanley Merchandise to lead the lap. The classic Thermos to lead the lap. The one, the only. So here we'll see, I don't think the field's going to get the wind under their sails to go get the merchandise. That gap is still holding pretty firm. It's smaller than it was about 5 or 6 laps back, but here they are at about 60, 70 meters off. Coming through the turn, it looks like the Thermos might be going the way of Harrison, so he'll try to take both home here. And that will be our final Preme tonight. Now the only thing riders are thinking about is the victory this evening in the scratch race. This fairly long scratch race is starting to work its way down to the end of it, and Artem Schmidt is done with teaming up. He's feeling like, now I just got to go, 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 go. I've been out here for a long time. I don't want to lose now. Give our young riders some help here. 5 to go. Artem Schmidt. Will Harrison, an impressive ride, starting to lose the lead, but he picked up some Premes tonight. Our field is 6 strong. The gap has opened up a little bit again, as now Schmidt on his own is really putting in a big, deep dive here for power. You can see the motion in his spin is starting to look a little bit weary. It's a little bit less smooth than it was a couple laps before, so he's up and out of the saddle trying to get some more speed. This is really going into the pain zone now, as he's been out here on his own for long enough. He's digging for it. This field is 6. still the same gap is holding. Either they think they can close down in the time they need to, or they're just expecting in the final lap or two to go for it. I guess the third scenario is they're just racing against each other, which is another place they could be at, racing for second. Man, he's still out here. 3 to go. Schmidt. Impressive ride from our young competitor here. Ben Rackness at the lead of the field. Kelly Darlene with him. Joel Lentz right there. Starting to maybe think about snapping off this field. They've only got 3 laps left to do some work. Nobody wants to do too much to pull, though. And this is the plague that they find themselves in, is that there's not a lot of workhorses in that group willing to just bring the group up to speed. Everybody wants to get ready to sprint against each other. So as soon as anybody's driving the pace, they're giving it up. Schmidt's got a great opportunity. He found his spot. His opportunity was, well, basically the beginning of the race. Once he saw Harrison start to lose the speed a little bit, he decided it was time for me to just go on all-out attack mode. 2 to go, and it's still Adam Schmidt off the front. Our last race of the night is coming up next. And as he comes up in front of the beverage garden, let's give him a lot of support here as he's coming into the bell. It's 1 to go. What a ride for Schmidt. 1 to go. Nobody can catch me tonight. That's his mode of racing. Now the race is on for second. These guys have already abandoned the cause. You're going to see the field coming across the line for 1 to go. The race is on for second. That's Alex Siegel at the front, looking both ways. Artem Schmidt is going to be our victor tonight. Give him one more round of applause for doing a good job off the front this evening. An impressive effort. And now we turn our attention to the sprint for second place, as Siegel's done a really good job coming out of this field at the front. He's got a great 400-meter effort here. Whoa! We have a relegation on the previous race coming into the final lap on bib 326. Relegated for exiting the sprinter's lane and impeding another rider's progress. That's a relegation for 326 for exiting the sprinter's lane while the sprint is engaged and impeding another rider. Our final group is coming up to the rail. It's the Cat 1-2s for their scratch race with Premes. Same thing I just told our last group as they were coming up to the rail. I've got 2 cash Premes, $10 a piece, and the one, the only, the legendary classic bottle from Stanley on 1 lap. Off we go for their neutral. And it is a 40-lap event. We like to round this one out and kind of just use the good old guess of distance. You know, it's a rounding math thing. For a 400-meter track, you run around 4 times. You run roughly a mile. So if we do a 40-lap event, that is roughly the 10-mile. That's what we call the 10-mile 40-lap event. So we've got a 10-mile scratch, 3 Premes for the group. And in our final race of the night on this beautiful Friday evening, Beverage Garden's still open. Tabasum's still able to throw a couple pies your way if you need to pick up a snack or maybe take care of a late night dinner tonight. They'll be open here through the rest of our racing program. 40 to go. settle in for what should be an interesting race. Again, the scratch race without anything to get in the way of the riders' tactics. They get to apply themselves however they want. So one group of riders that really likes that is somebody who wants to go the distance, someone like Arn Schmidt, who decides when it's time to go and makes this lone attack and just stays away from the field. No reason that that can't work for you in a scratch race. Well, here we have a group of 3 also trying right from the beginning to start making it fast. Not really at a pace right now. We're going to get away from this field, but they are doing work to make it quick right away, as there's a fair number of starters on a Friday night tonight. Oftentimes in the early laps of these races, you will see a decent amount of speed from the riders that would like to try to peel riders off. Riders that want to try to conserve energy, they're thinking that they know they can win in a fast finish if they have enough speed left. If they're in the front group and they haven't worked too hard, they're going to win at top speed. That's what they got. Then they're going to try to stay away from pulling the group around the track. The riders that think, you know what, if I'm in a straight up sprint, my power is not the same as this guy over here. I don't have the top speed like this guy does. But you know what I do have is I can do an effort for the next 15 minutes that this guy can't hold on to. So these early laps are an opportunity for some of those longer distance riders to try to apply some of that pressure to make the race too quick for the fast finishers. That's the reason why you see these experienced fields riding a little bit quicker, trying some things at the beginning of the race, even if they know they're going to get caught. It's all part of the dynamics of keeping things difficult for riders in the group just to be able to participate at the end of a 40-lap event like this one is. Riders taking their turn at the front. If you've ever been out there on a bike before at decent speeds, maybe on a group ride, you know what it feels like to be behind somebody instead of being the one in the front. That's what these riders are doing now, is it's mostly single file as they're clipping in still at a decent speed, somewhere under 30. But they're moving along okay right now, maybe in that 25, 22 mile an hour range. Fast enough that most of the riders in this group are finding some wheel to be behind. As they slow down, they'll oftentimes do 2 things actually. Move to the right on the track and also group up a little bit. If you are going slow, no reason to hide behind someone's wheel. You might as well be closer to the front where the action is. If you're going fast, then you better be behind a wheel so you're not losing out on energy when you shouldn't be. The risk, of course, is when the race is fast, there are riders that are really far away from the front. So if you're in the back half of a field when something starts happening at the front of it, you are out of luck. Boom, Kaiser starting to open things up a little bit here. Just trying out the wheels tonight, seeing what this feels like with this field behind him. Haldy will jump in for some fun here as well. The 2 riders pushing away from the field now. Neither rider may be feeling like their way to victory is to wait until the bell lap and then suddenly drop down into this amazing 400-meter sprint. So they got to make it fast now and keep it fast if they can. So Haldeman off the front working with Kaiser, the rider in black and yellow, now pushing it even harder as he comes up to the front, trying to keep the speed quick. He doesn't want to be an easy catch at 33 to go. So now Kaiser's lost the reinforcements. He's on his own. Still off the front. Maybe 40 meters behind him is the field. Still on the same straight with him, but he's got himself a nice position early in the race. Again, making it hard, making it fast for the riders behind him. One thing you can start to do here, if you're in that field, is you're looking up, especially the riders at the front, are starting to watch the body language of the riders off that are attacking off of the front like Kaiser is, and they're looking for signs of weakness. If they see the rider maybe starting to lose some steam, there's no need to hurry up and go catch him. That's just wasted effort. We'll eventually get him back. The question is with Kaiser looking pretty smooth right now, do they really see any signs of that? Not necessarily. He's also not really getting away from him just now. So looking like the pack is riding this about right, which is let's just keep him within reach. If we send up a big move right now, he would be right back in the center of things. If we got much further away from this, he might start to sneak away from us. And though they're not talking out loud through all these problems like I am with all of us, that is sort of the internal dialogue that goes through these riders' heads and kind of the outcome of that subliminal thinking, all of that behind the thoughts as a racer is out there kind of looking around at the environment. The pack does have sort of a pack mentality. It sort of takes over as you ride in a group like this. So there is that approach to be thinking about if you can kind of put yourself in the shoes of the rider even for just a moment. That gap has shrunk a little bit as our liquid velo riders are at the front. So if I'm in their place, I'm thinking, you know, this is probably, we got this under control. I got $10 to lead the lap. $10 to lead the lap. $10 to lead the lap. Now, he's been within reach this entire time. This might be what will close it down, or maybe this means Kaiser's going to be like, you know, I'm just going to work that much harder. I want the $10, darn it. I've been out here long enough. Look at him start to accelerate. He wants to pick up the Preme before he gets caught by anybody else. Oh, man. Oh, man. The hand-built wheels need some love in here. Or is that going to be Mike Rogers? That looks like Mike Rogers for the single malt Velo team just says, I'll take the cash. So again, he's just dangling out there for all those laps, and then the bell lap spells the end of it for now. I'm not surprised, would not be surprised to see him in that same position again before this race is over. We still have 27 to go. Andy Baker now finds himself at the front of the lineup as our group continues to kind of fall into what is essentially a long pace line, a term that we would use in reference to the most efficient sort of shape you can get on the track or in any sort of riding environment. A single line. Everybody's got a wheel to be behind. Everybody's working at the front for their allotted time. Swing up out of the way, go to the back, and let it keep rolling. Now, the question is, do you go all the way to the back? It's a long lineup. So you'll watch some of these riders. One thing you can watch is as they pull up is how far back do they let themselves go. If a rider lets themselves fall all the way to the back, they must not be feeling like they're wanting to compete too much tonight, or at least they think, you know what, I'll be okay if I'm back here. Nothing's going to happen. I will be able to get back into the mix. But if you go all the way back to the back of a 20-person field, that's a long way before your turn's up again. So at some point, you have to do what some of the riders are thinking about doing now, which is let's make a little group and start repositioning ourselves. As things start to get wide across the track, now the movement's coming all the way from the back of the field. Andy Baker being watched by Kenny Williams, seeing some strength out of the rider. He says, you know what, I'll ride this wheel up to the front. Christian Miller, who was just at the front, comes back up to pull a couple riders with him as it looks like everybody's joining on this train as Baker really accelerating the speed for just a moment. Everybody says that is a move to watch. Hodgins says, you know what, I'm not done yet. Brendan Hodgins is going to keep pushing down on the pedals. Might as well. He's already up to speed. In fact, he's working hard here to try to see if he can snap some people off of him. Carlberg, the leader's jersey. No, I don't want to be here. He'll pull up to the right immediately. He's like, I was liking the speed of Hodgins. As soon as he gives up on it, though, you know what? Let's get back together again. Hold on. Let's catch our breath. Let's think about what we're doing here. We still got a while, guys. So back into it we go. So a little bit of excitement there, and now we reset ourselves. So sure, Baker didn't get anything directly from all that effort, but he did cause everybody to work. So that is a positive, especially if you don't think you can win in a sprint. Although we did see Baker with an impressive 400-meter effort in the Keirin tonight. He's our winner for our Cat 1-2 men out of the Keirin major final earlier. So he certainly has the finish if he can get in the right place at the right time. So 23 to go. And there he is, our instigator. Bib number 99 pulling out of the way for Taylor Crane. Number 123. Riders taking a little bit of shorter pulls will oftentimes create a slower group. So riders kind of getting up and out of the way pretty quickly here. Hey, guess who's at the front again? He was just waiting for his turn. It's like, now I'm at the front. I know what I like to do. Go, go, go. Willem Kaiser, once again, sees the front, and he's joined by a rider who often does the same thing. Liquid Velo in the black and green is Chip Chazé. When he sees daylight, he likes to make a move like this himself, so he'll join in. Hodgins also in good race form for the longer distance, will try to get up there quickly. This is making an interesting trio. A potentially very threatening one that has the potential to really settle into a nice groove if they can start talking with each other now and figure out how they're going to make this happen. The most recent joinee, Hodgins, makes it up. I got Stanley merch to lead the lap. Stanley merch to lead the lap. Stanley merchandise to lead the lap. The legendary thermos, the one and only, from our friends at Stanley right here in Seattle. Don't forget, folks, the Velodrome code is still good to use right now. Go to stanley-pmi.com, put in an order, and toss in Velodrome at checkout as a coupon for 30% off your next order. Spend $50 or more before the coupon code is applied. You will get free shipping. Hodgins will take home the classic gear from Stanley. The field, though, has picked up some speed here as Mike Robson is right at the front. He's got the gray triangles on that black kit. Number 30. Helped the group accelerate pretty nicely on that lap. They haven't caught yet. And our lead three are still trying their darndest to fall into a groove and try to pull away from this field. So one indicator that these guys are in it to win it more than just having some fun off the front is they came to time for that sprint for the Preme, and that's a pretty sweet Preme coming from Stanley, and these guys just kind of agreed to let basically who's on the lap take it rather than try to sprint against each other, because that's wasted effort if you're trying to win it. If you're trying to get away from the field, you don't want to race against each other. You're racing together. They can't split up the merchandise either. One person gets to take it home, so apparently that's not in their calculations right now. They're more interested about being consistent and smooth off the front right now. 17 to go. You can hear some self-talk in that group of three as they're trying to continue to encourage each other as best as they can to stay away from the field as long as possible. Look at the acceleration from the field now. Who's that? That's Baker, number 99. Williams, number 1. Ludomax, I believe, 14 in the field with a nice acceleration, and that's all it takes is a big push like that to catch a lead. And bam, they're back in the group just like that. At 16 to go, a couple riders being caught that are not on the lap. You'll see those riders along the rail, so they're down. Everybody else coming together here. A little bit of effort spent to catch those leaders. It'll cause the field to sit high and above the blue line. Why is that the slow lane? Well, if you're going slow, you might as well have the hill to help you out. If you're up high on the track, you can imagine what that means when you turn left to go to the short lane. You've got that downhill acceleration, so it's like an exchange of potential energy. It's the physics of it. Go high when you're going, as you're slowing down, save that potential energy, turn left, and then boom, utilize it. Well, we talked about this guy a lot. He just doesn't give up. He knows that if he keeps trying, that there's a good chance that one of these might stick. It's Kaiser again, going off the front. This time he's joined by nobody. He's in a solo ride here. So as Kaiser pulls away, the field's starting to wonder how much more he's got in him. I saw him race previously this week on Wednesday, and I'll tell you, he's got a lot of battery down there. That motor likes to go, go, go. Helping out our leader here at 14 laps on the card showing. We saw this earlier, 35, 40 meters off the front, and the field basically matching speed. We still have racing going on through the rest of them. There we go. You know how to work the crowds. Willem's trying to make some noise here. He wants help. He knows he needs it. This is a tough field to get away from. He's going to pull up again. He's going to save up for the next effort. We got racing all through the month of August and right up until September, essentially, where we start to close down and get set for our off season. We'd love to have you come back for the next couple weeks of racing through the month of August, usually our most consistent month weather-wise, as most of our Seattleites will agree. So we're hoping to have a lot of racing going on. Free spectating on Monday, Wednesdays, and Thursdays. If you're thinking about starting racing, we might encourage you to check out a Thursday night. That is our beginner night, so you can see what that looks like. Small fields, 5, 6, 7 riders. Very controlled, very contained, very helpful. A lot of instruction going on. Mondays are our junior and sprint nights, are our big focuses for those evenings. Cat 4 competitors, which is our real kind of true beginning field. That's after you get out of Thursday night racing and you're riding in the main fields, is Wednesdays. It's also joined by our open fields, which are open to anyone to designate they'd like to race in that. So there's no omnium points in those fields. All the rest of next month, if you want to see some more, we'll be here. At 11 to go, another bit of action at the front as riders will slot themselves into position and begin to push again, see what happens. We're getting close enough to the end of the race that riders are really wanting to keep it together. So just about everybody's willing to do a little bit of work to make sure that everyone is within contact of one another. If you have a hard time remembering all this information I'm throwing your way, I would point you towards the best domain in the biz on the internets. It is velodrome.org. That's right, we got the good one, velodrome.org. You can find all the information at our website, including everything about our great facility and the group that operates it, the Marymore Velodrome Association, in existence since the creation of our fine facility in 1975. Again, our website, velodrome.org. There we go. Folks are starting to feel the anticipation. They know we're getting down to the end. And the juniors are getting excited for Taylor moving off the front. Chip Chazé. Talked about him earlier when he sees daylight. He likes to fill that space at the front of the field as much as he can. He'll do it again here. At 10 to go. Baker looking determined right behind him. Williams now at the front of the field, also doing a little bit of work to pull riders up and get them a bit closer to Chip Chase. Sorry for the missed announcement on the laps left. 7 to go. 7 to go. So now in the next couple laps, the time is closing down, that window of opportunity if you want to try to get away from the field. So just I'm talking about it. Here he goes. There's Kaiser again. So just as he knows as well as I do that the time is really crunching down if he wants to try to break away from this group. And here he goes. He's seen this face before. Hodgins joins him. So does Vern Cole, who has not made one of these efforts before. So he's got some fresher legs. He'll try to make a move himself here. See what he can do with it. Wilhelm ends up being just the motivator now for Vern Cole and Brennan Hodgins to get out here. But Kaiser showed a little bit of fatigue from all these attacks. This could be a great time for him, though. He made it fast for this field so much in this race. Why don't we throw out one more reward for these guys? I got $10 to lead the lap. $10 to lead the lap. 5 to go, and I got $10 to lead the lap. 5 to go. $10 to lead our lap at 5 to go. Willem Kaiser pulls up out of the way, leaves room for Vern Cole. That's the rider in the black and green again. Brennan Hodgins in the dark colored kit there with that white helmet. One of our younger competitors. That's our break of 3. The field starting to accelerate a little bit here. It's $10 to lead the lap, not out of the pack. So it looks like maybe Hodgins will take home the payout. Another Preme for the young rider. And again, not really sprinting against each other. It's a sign that they're really trying to make something with this moment. They're not just having fun off the front. They want to win by getting away. So instead of sprinting against each other, they're going to be conservative and ride to work with each other. Hodgins was thinking about actually kind of giving up there for a second. He seems like he was kind of pushing back on the pedals, but Kaiser doesn't know what that feels like. Help him out here, folks. 4 to go. Now it's just Kaiser again. He likes getting his name called out. So he's going to continue to be off the front. When we see them, they'll be seeing 3 to go. It was 3 to go. Man, I'm having trouble tonight. 2 to go. 2 to go. There he goes. Yep. Help me out. This hurts. He's like, you don't know what this feels like. Help me out. I'll give him this. He's very persistent in his style and his approach. Crane now finds himself at the front of the group, beginning the drag race down the back straight. Now things are going to really start to accelerate behind her as Baker coming into the turn. Here comes our leader at 1 to go. Our final lap here tonight for Friday Night Racing. Here comes Baker, Russell, Miller, Carlberg, and Williams. I couldn't think of a better 5 to close down this race. These guys got some speed. We saw it in the Keirin. I'm talking about the drag race because that's what it is. It's a big launch for you-know-who. Here comes the leader of our season. Carlberg loves these efforts, and he's going to try to close this thing down. A big effort out of the back straight, and Carlberg is all alone. Williams and Russell will come in 2 and 3 in the finish, and a nice finish for our Cat 1-2 men. Where is he at? There he is. Kaiser tries over and over again. It didn't quite work for him there at the end, but he was off the front as the bell was ringing, so it was a close attempt nonetheless. Coach with a nice bike throw, too. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that is our final race tonight. We'd encourage you I was told that we did a really good thing. It's kind of a bad thing, too. We did a really good thing. We finished out our beer for the evening. It's a good and bad thing. You know, it means we had a lot of folks show up tonight. That's a good problem to have. I promise we'll restock well before next week. We did just have a huge event the last weekend with our GP, so we're still getting ourselves reconfigured and ready to go. We appreciate all in attendance tonight. We do still have cider and wine if you'd like to come over into the beverage garden tonight. We also have our food truck open through the next few minutes to make sure that if you'd like to take home anything with you tonight, you can still do that. If you plan on coming back again, we would love to see you for more Friday Night Racing. That's again here next week at 7 o'clock in the evening. If you're tuning in the live stream, we really appreciate you following us there. If you haven't yet checked out our social media, we'd encourage you to check out our Twitter at JB Velodrome, our Instagram at JB Velodrome, and of course our YouTube channel, JB Space Velodrome. Giving us any thumbs up and subscriptions would be much appreciated. Folks, thanks again for coming out tonight and helping make tonight special. If you were on the outside looking in, we really appreciate your presence. Our riders know you are here and are supporting them, and that makes all the difference. We look forward to seeing you again for more racing right here at the Jerry Baker Memorial Velodrome.